Here's a horror story based on eerie encounters. The Unfinished Room. Lydia and Mark were excited about their new home. It was a charming old cottage in the English countryside, nestled between rolling green hills and surrounded by thick, whispering trees. The price had been a steal, almost too good to be true. They moved in on a crisp autumn afternoon, the air carrying the scent of fallen leaves. The house was in surprisingly good condition, except for one thing: an unfinished room at the end of the upstairs hallway. It was small, with exposed wooden beams and a single window that overlooked the backyard. The walls were only partially plastered, leaving dark patches of old brick visible. Something about the room made Lydia uneasy, though she couldn't explain why. "This will be perfect for storage," Mark said, setting down a box. Lydia hesitated. "I don't know. Maybe we should just keep it closed off." Mark laughed. "What? You think it's haunted?" That night, as the wind howled outside, Lydia woke up feeling cold. Not just the usual autumn chill, but a deep, bone-aching cold. She turned over and saw something that made her heart stop. The unfinished room's door was open. She was sure they had shut it before going to bed. But now, a sliver of darkness stretched across the hallway, the blackness inside seeming deeper than it should have been. Shaking, she nudged Mark awake. "The door's open," she whispered. He groaned, rubbed his eyes, and got up to check. He peeked inside, flicked on the hallway light. "Nothing's in there." He closed the door again. But the feeling didn't leave her. The next day, as Lydia unpacked, she kept glancing at the door. It remained closed, but a nagging voice in the back of her mind whispered, someone was in there. That evening, Mark had to drive into town for supplies, leaving Lydia alone. She curled up on the couch, a book in her lap, trying to push away her unease. Then, footsteps. Not from outside. Not from downstairs. From above. Her blood ran cold. The sound was faint, but distinct, slow, deliberate footsteps inside the unfinished room. She grabbed her phone, hands trembling. "Mark, there's someone in the house." "Lydia, calm down." Before he could finish, a loud bang echoed through the house. The door had slammed open. A terrible, suffocating silence followed. Heart-hammering, Lydia forced herself to look up the stairs. The hallway light flickered, and something moved in the shadows. A figure stood in the doorway. Not a person. Not entirely. Its limbs were too long, its skin pale and cracked like old plaster. Its eyes, black hollow, seemed to drink in the dim light. Then it took a step forward. Lydia stumbled backward, gasping for air. As she did, the thing mouthed something, soundless but unmistakable. "Help me." Just then, the front door burst open. Mark ran in breathless, calling her name. He found her standing frozen at the bottom of the stairs, her face pale as death. The door to the unfinished room was wide open. But it was empty. That night, they slept in the living room, too afraid to go upstairs. The next morning, Mark started researching the house's history. What he found made Lydia's blood turn to ice. Decades ago, the cottage belonged to a reclusive man. He had a young daughter, sickly, frail, whom no one ever saw outside. Locals believed he kept her locked in that very room, hidden away from the world. One winter, she died. Instead of burying her, the man sealed her inside the walls. The house was sold, renovated, but the room was never completed. The workers always left. They complained of cold spots, strange noises, whispers. The renovation stopped. The house remained unsold for years, until Mark and Lydia moved in. That evening, before the sun set, they did what they should have done from the start. They sealed the door. But even now, sometimes, on cold, windless nights, Lydia swears she can hear it. A faint, slow tapping. Coming from inside the wall. We will see you in next story. Please like and subscribe to support us.